Coming up on Unpacked.
For me, it was not about who they are and what they do. It was about how long were they struggling. That's the main thing about surrogacy in South Africa. It's not a financial gain. You don't get compensated. Also, there was no sexual contact between me and my husband, also from 2 weeks before up until 12 weeks of pregnancy.
What? We have spoken on this show about infertility issues, but we haven't touched on the subject of surrogacy. Today's guest is here to share her story. Let's unpack. 31-year-old Yolandi Swart has had the desire of being a surrogate mother since 2010. In 2019, the mother of 3 then started pursuing it and eventually became a surrogate mother for the first time. She's here to tell her story. Let's unpack. Yolandi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's go back because, I'm thinking to myself, when would the idea pop into a woman's mind that she wants to be a surrogate for somebody if it's not somebody close to her? So when did this idea pop into your mind that I would actually like to be a surrogate?
Well, I must say my dream was always to be a mother.
Yes.
It used to be a teacher when I was in primary school, but it started with being a mother. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. And having 8 kids, that was my target, but I don't think in South Africa we can do that.
Yes.
And not in today's life. So in matric, I saw a program. I can't even remember the name.
Yeah.
And that's where the trigger of surrogacy started because it handled about surrogacy. And that's when I started with wanting to help others do that. Because
so you had an understanding in matric of what it meant?
Yes, okay. Already. I researched it also at that time. I asked a lot of questions. And I had a more or less understanding of what it entailed already. But I had a husband and I had my child just after matric as well. And my husband didn't agree with doing it. So I was
So you had actually shared with your husband to say, listen, I want to surrogate for someone. I know we have our own child, but...
Yeah, and he didn't agree with it. So
what was your reason?
It's just I wanted to help. And he had family members, we had friends that already were struggling with infertility as well.
Yes.
So that was also a big a factor that was playing into me wanting to do it as well. Because I could see people struggling right around me, but... Unfortunately, my husband didn't agree. So I asked him twice after that as well, and I left it.
What were his reasons as to... I can assume already, but what were his reasons?
I think it's because we're still in being conservative, and our generation and our era's parents are also conservative. They don't understand that it's not unknown. The research of it is also unknown, and knowing what it entails and thinking that somebody else will give their life for a baby for someone else and you're not even going to gain anything from it. I think that was also a big issue for him as well. Me putting my life at risk for someone else.
And then I think the other question might be, and I don't know if you had thought about it then, is if you being a surrogate with your own eggs or if it's going to be the fertilized eggs that are being inserted in you.
Yeah, at that time the options were still open, but I do know that now they do really advise all intended parents to use someone else's eggs and not your surrogate's eggs.
Okay.
So there's no genetic connection with the surrogacy, and that there's no chance for the surrogate to have any connection with the baby.
Yes, which makes sense because there will be then the possibility of the surrogate not wanting to give the baby back and them actually having a legal say over it because then technically they are the mother. Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
I left it. I prayed and I left it and carried on with life. We grew our family even further. We've got 3 children of our own. And we moved back from Middelburg to Kempton Park in 2019, and 2020, beginning of the year, March, my husband just all of a sudden out of nowhere said, do you still want to do surrogacy? And I was like, yeah, why? what's the reason for asking? He's like, you can do it. I was like, no. Let's first show you everything that it entails. So we did all the research and I showed him everything and I told him, please think about it and then get back to me. If you're sure, then we'll do it. And we did everything. He looked at it, he thought about it, and he came back to me and said, yeah, if you still want to do it, you can do it. I need to be selfless as well.
In his mind did it come to him to just say, actually, you should do it after saying no?
Yeah, so it was 8 years after the last time I asked him. And so it was very all of a sudden, and I was dumbfounded. I was like really not believing it and I really asking him, are you sure of doing this? And he said, yeah, I need to be selfless and you need to do something that you wanted to do for yourself as well. You've always been supporting me and everyone around you, but this is something you've been wanting to do for a very long time. So I was like, okay. So, and that's when we started registering. We went online. And the first place that popped up was Robin Friedman attorneys. I did get, I asked them what it entailed and asked them if I can register it, and we did all the registrations, and in a few days we got profiles from the parents that's available and that's there, and we picked one and they got communication from the agency that they have to contact me.
I actually would have thought that it's the other way around, that the family gets profile. Okay, so they also get, and you're basically looking for a match. Yeah. Okay,
so they have it both ways. So I know that the intended parents that we were with, that they had surrogates before, and they withdrew. All of a sudden, after a lot of medical clearance payments was done, and that's a lot of money that they were taking out already, and they were actually half giving up. And the couple that we picked and said we'll try them, and we didn't know if they're gonna respond or not, but luckily they did.
So if I can ask, what is the criteria that you would use to pick which couple you're going to help?
For me, it was not about who they are and what they do. It was about how long were they struggling.
Oh, okay.
That was my biggest criteria there. It's because I know for anybody sitting in their shoes over a year, struggling with having a surrogate or even getting to that part of having a family, it's a lot. It's the emotional. It drains the marriage. It eats on your emotional side as well, and you feel worthless. If you get over that part where you are, I don't know what's going on. Why are we not getting this? And why are we waiting so long? It should not be that long. So that was my criteria, who was waiting the longest. So on the list that was given to me, they were the longest. And that's why I picked them first at hand. I didn't have a criteria of gender or religion or race or anything. That was my first look at.
So then they got in touch with you?
Yeah.
And what happened?
We immediately clicked. It's just, there was a calm and an easiness of it, and we didn't feel uncomfortable speaking about anything. And within days, we confirmed with Robin Friedman and them that we want to move forward. And we got a date for the 27th of May that I had a full medical clearance, the psych evaluation and the police clearance all in one day, luckily for me.
So maybe explain to us, the medical clearance one can make sense because they want to check that you don't have any health issues and you're able to get pregnant and those kind of things. But what are the reasons for all those clearances?
It's just to make sure that you don't have, and if you have HIV, that you have it and that you're dealing with it. If there's any other medical problems, that it's dealable. If there's like endometriosis, that it's also not at an advanced stage where it can cause a problem, or if there's a little growth and all those things, and that you're fertile and that you can carry and that you're still fine to do that, because you still do the normality from when you want to get pregnant and have a very in-depth check out that you are healthy, and also to confirm that you're not using alcohol, you're not smoking, and all those things, and drugs and all those things. So they do the blood test on that as well, making sure you don't have infections and all those things.
So then the police clearance, that is to check what?
That's just to check that you have no cases on your name or anything that's in a criminal act.
Yes.
Because you're going into a contract that's going to bind you for 18 months.
Yes.
So you have to make sure that you are clear, and that you also not doing this for financial gain.
Yes, yes.
Because that's the main thing about surrogacy in South Africa. It's not a financial gain. You don't get compensated. At all. So you do this to give and to gift.
Yes. And in your case, gifting a stranger.
Yes.
It's not like it's your sister or somebody that's close to you. So now, I mean, once all of that is done and everything came back clear, what happened next?
Then we did the psycho evaluation. That was also an in-depth thing.
Yes.
It was three different sets of tests that we did. And I think one test was about 150 to 200 questions per test that I had to as well do. And they had to check that the kids are all right and that they understand the situation, that my husband is fine, that I'm good mentally and physically, that I can deal with the situation and everything. So, and then when that was cleared, we had to wait for the affidavits to come through from all parties. The fertility clinics, gynecologists had to give a affidavit. The psychologist had to give an evaluation and affidavit, and the same with the police clearance as well.
I'm just wondering, you mentioned that the contract is 18 months.
Yeah.
Why is it 18 months?
Because most of the time you don't usually get pregnant.
The first time? Okay.
So that was the main thing why the contract was made for 18 months. So that if there is not a positive pregnancy, that you can try again within that contract period. That's why it's made double the time of a normal pregnancy for in case.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it a criteria in South Africa that to be a surrogate, you should have been a mother already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you can't
You should have at least one baby of your own that you've carried to full term without complications.
And is that more for a medical reason or for a psychological reason?
I think it's for a medical and a psychological.
Okay.
I think it's for both sides, not just for one.
Yes.
Because we have to remember that if you have not been a mother and you're going through that process, it's going to be emotional wrecking.
Yes.
Because your body hasn't went through this and it hasn't sustained a healthy baby, and now you have, and now you have to give it away.
Yes.
So, and then I think it's going to eat you alive if you haven't had children of your own and you don't understand the process.
Yes,
So, because I think that makes a big difference.
So now everything was good to go. What happened next?
So we were waiting for the affidavits for a long time, and also for the court, because it was out of recess with the COVID happening.
Yes.
And with COVID happening, it was actually messy because we were waiting a lot for the courts and for having a court date.
Yeah.
So in September, we started hammering on the attorneys and asking them, listen, we need to get somewhere now. It's been almost 5 months. We need to get a move on.
Yes.
So they confirmed that we've got a court date for the beginning of October. We're just waiting for a date. So we got the date of the 5th of October, and waiting for the date was very anxious because we wanted to know what's happening. Is it moving or not? And it was, I think, 10 o'clock in the morning as well. And they phoned us. They were like, yeah, we got approval. And we immediately contacted the fertility clinic, got on medication to prepare for the transfer, and we got moved on with that.
What is the medication? Is it hormones?
Yes, it's hormone treatment, progesterone, and then also, I'm trying to think now what's that. It's also to stop your ovaries from producing eggs as well.
Oh,
and
so
then the progesterone to make sure
your own eggs don't get...
Yes.
I never thought of that.
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
It's to manipulate the body to think you're in menopause so that it can stop producing the ovaries, to stop production for the eggs, not to go free. And then you start the progesterone to thicken the lining of the uterus to prep for the transfer.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So did you get pregnant the first transfer? Wow.
Yeah, on the 16th of October, we went for the transfer, and I was on bed rest for a few days. I took it easy because you're a bit more lenient with yourself when it's someone else's baby that you're trying to conceive. Also, there was no sexual contact between me and my husband, also from 2 weeks before up until 12 weeks of pregnancy.
What?
So
this is a big sacrifice. I mean, if when people think about the fact that, okay, I'm carrying, it's not just a sacrifice for you. He's also sacrificing.
Yes, he did. And I must say, I think that also helps the process for both of us because mentally, there's no way.
Yes.
There's no way that it could have been ours. So.
Yes. And
I think,
in terms of the non-sexual context.
Yes. So I think it's not just because of them being cautious that something does happen from your side, but it's also a mental thing as well. Because mentally it preps you and there's no way. You can't fight it.
Yes. So maybe you can help me understand, because you're saying you're not allowed to be compensated in South Africa, but obviously certain expenses get covered.
Yes.
So maybe share with us what is the without giving out the confidential information, but what are the kind of things that need to be covered? What kind of an allowance can they provide you? How involved are they allowed to be in your life?
It's a personal choice that I must say Robin and them did clear out for us very quickly. It's our own choice how the relationship between me and the parents would have been.
Yes.
They do suggest that it should be like a business transaction, but it's unpersonal to do that because you still need to share with them the pregnancy and everything happening during the pregnancy because they will never have that experience.
Yes.
And that's what everybody needs to remember. They never will have that experience of having a pregnancy, going through the hormones, going through the nausea, going through all those things. So the financial part of it, they have to cover the medical aid. They have to, if they want to do it on medical aid, they have to cover that and make sure that it's all done. Life insurance, disability insurance, and then the compensation, the allowance that they give you to sustain a healthy pregnancy.
Yes.
So that includes the allowance that they give you monthly is usually anything between 6,000 and 8,000, maybe more, and depending on what type of pregnancy you're dealing with and what you have to provide for the pregnancy. So that includes your making sure your nutrition is taken care of. If you need creams or medication during the pregnancy, that's not included in the normal procedures like Panados or nausea tablets or nausea medication, acid reflux or heartburn, indigestion problems that you have to seek for. So that it has to cover that as well. Clothing, if you need to get clothing, that also needs to be covered. Yourself and your daughter for calling them and making sure that they are informed of everything. Your traveling fees is additional that they have to also take care of. And all procedures that's not covered by medical aid and stuff, they have to also take care of that as well.
I mean, it sounds like there might be a blurred line between what is you and what is caused by the pregnancy.
Yeah.
For example, and I'll use a very simple example, which is a headache.
Yes.
Is this a pregnancy-related headache that they must pay for, or it's you having a headache?
Yeah, but
how do you separate? And I'm using not a very good example, but that example, how do you separate?
Yeah, no, I do agree. It's easy to say it is because of the pregnancy, and it's easy to say, okay, no, it's not due to pregnancy.
Yes.
During pregnancy, it's hard to actually say, okay, yes, no.
Yes.
And then you've got the normal symptoms of having flu or having a runny nose during pregnancy. Yes, it's normal. Luckily, Panados aren't that expensive, so it can go either way when it gets to pain relief, because during pregnancy, you are only allowed to have Panados in any case. So, I do agree with you. There is a blurred line with that, but
You were able to manage it.
Yeah, we were able to manage it, and luckily I didn't have much complications or any things popping up.
And what was you mentioned that you keep them in the loop with obviously like doctor's visits. Did you allow them to go with you? How often did you stay in touch with them? Would you be like, I felt a kick,
Yeah. Usually that's the things that I use to pick up the phone and say, hello, something's happening.
Yes.
And yes, they were allowed to go to the doctor's visits and the scans because it's their child. They want to see the growth. They want to know what's happening and everything. So it was for them. It was sharing with them everything. Every step of the way, every scan we went to, they were there, or at least one of them were there. At the end, both of them made sure that both of them were present. And luckily, the gynecologists and doctors were also very nice and lenient, allowing them to come both.
Yes.
So that was also nice. Also, with everything that happened, when I had a bit of nausea, luckily I didn't have much with this pregnancy. I also let them know, okay, I'm not feeling good today, but usually it was a day to a weekly communication between the two, between all of us, and we also had a group where we put on notifications and stuff to make sure everybody's in the loop. And I must say they were also very caring, and when I got quiet, they would ask, how are you doing? Are you okay? I didn't have to reach out first every time. So that was very nice, and I do like the fact that they were also taking it personal.
Yes. Was there were there elements within the contract that actually stipulate, for example, you cannot go a month without you? We need to know where you are. Was there any sort of conditions in the contract?
No, the only condition that I do remember in the contract is that I have to notify them if there's anything happening medically related.
Yes.
But there was no stipulation that I had to no contact at
you could just leave the province and it would be fine.
No. I had to notify at least the Robin Friedman them if I had to go, and I didn't want to speak to them.
Oh, okay.
So if there wasn't a will that I wanted to leave and I didn't want to let them know, I had to let at least the agency know.
I understand.
So,
I understand.
Unfortunately. But luckily I didn't have issues with them. If I wanted to go to Middelburg, Mpumalanga, and go visit family, I asked them, listen, is it fine? Can I go? And then they're like, yeah, no, go, it's fine.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is it weird? I mean, you have a husband, but there's a man who's the father, where now you have a baby in your belly and other people want to touch your belly. Was that weird?
I must say, my support group and the people around me, actually all of them understood the situation. So it wasn't weird for anyone. And
I mean let me say more specifically about the man element. Because obviously as women, we're more comfortable with each other. But a man that's not your husband, when you've been pregnant before, touching your belly, was that weird?
No, it wasn't weird at all. Remember, I must say it helped knowing that it was not my child I'm carrying. And it's something they would not experience themselves. So if I didn't share it, they will not experience it at all. And that's what I remembered every time that we did get to that point where they wanted to feel the baby move. And we did try in the beginning, and this baby just didn't want to kick at all every time. And when he takes away his hand, then she kicked. And so it was heavy in the beginning, and then all of a sudden she allowed them to feel. So it was quite funny, if I can say in that sense, because you're like, I'm sharing this with someone else, and it's not mine, it's theirs, and it's the experience that I have to try and share it in a way that they need to experience it like we would be experiencing it if it was our own.
Like, for example, I mean, I've had a baby not so long ago, so a lot of my pregnancy memories are still quite fresh. And there's the reading, there's the playing music, talking to the baby. So now, I mean, what is that like for you? Do you talk to the baby, even though it's not your baby, but you're housing the baby, and there is still some kind of connection? Like, it's still very, I don't want to say weird, that's not the right word, but different.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different experience. I must say, I did find myself speaking sometimes when I got a bit of nausea or a bit of heartburn or a bit of indigestion. I would say, hey, listen, just calm down in there. I need to just focus and go on with my life. And then she would like calm down. So, and then other than that, I didn't really speak to her that much, but the parents did every time we saw them. And also I played a lot of music. So, and luckily we're in the same age group, so they also like the music that we like. So I know they're listening the same type of music. So I didn't have to provide a disc with music on, because I know they like more or less the same music. So that helped a lot, because that's the thing that I go to is music. I listen a lot of music.
Yes. So, okay, so now you've fallen pregnant and the journey begins. Were there any standout moments, or was it quite a normal pregnancy?
I must say it was quite a normal pregnancy. It was just, if I look back at it, I must say that it was like a first pregnancy because it wasn't mine. And I think I was overanalyzing everything, every symptom happening. And I was like, okay, what's happening here? What's happening here? So it was very, when something happened, I was like, okay, wait, is this normal? I can't remember if this was the same with my own pregnancies and stuff. And then I would report back and ask, okay, what do I do and everything. So it was a normal pregnancy if I do look back at it. It was just because it wasn't my own, I was overanalyzing every symptom and everything, because I have to be more careful with everything that's happening and going on.
Because I also have that feeling like, and this is a terrible example, but when I am holding on or responsible for somebody else's something, I am terrified. Like, I don't even if it's just borrowing a car, you're like, I don't want to scratch someone else's car. Yeah. My own car I can deal with. Did you also have that feeling of like being overly careful that this is someone else's child?
Yes, no, I did. I experienced a quick scare on 14 weeks, and I was like, what is happening now?
What happened?
I had a bit of like bleeding, and I didn't experience that before, and I didn't have that in the beginning of the pregnancy as well. And I was like very alert and very scared of something happening. So luckily it was just a slight infection which caused it. So a UTI, that's common also in pregnancies. But I didn't have that before with any of my pregnancies. So I was overanalyzing, being overprotective and overguarding with the pregnancy and making sure that everything doesn't go wrong. So I was on a lot of bed rest because of the UTIs coming up and down, and causing Braxton Hicks and all those things. So unfortunately, it was one of those things that came early, so I was just having to be more cautious with it.
So explain for the viewers what Braxton Hicks are, so that not everybody... I know I had Braxton Hicks very scary the first time. What are Braxton Hicks?
Yeah, Braxton Hicks is when your body starts preparing for labor. So I had 3 kids naturally, so my body was starting to prepare from 20 weeks and up. And I was like scared because it was too early to start.
So it feels like contractions, but it's not real contractions.
Yeah, and then I think at 5-6 weeks, I started having them bad, where I was like drinking a Panado or two to subside the contractions. Then it went away. And then I mentioned this to the guy, and she's like, no, you're not supposed to drink pain medication to have them go away, so we're going to put you on bed rest. So it's usually just your body preparing for labor and preparing the uterus for contracting and going into labor.
So when did you finally go into labor, if you did go into labor, and how did baby come into this world?
Right, so on 34 weeks, I went into preterm labor. And I was placed on bed rest again. On 35 weeks, we went weekly. We went basically every Saturday. We had a
checkup
at the hospital with Braxton Hicks waking us up. And
do you call them every time?
Yeah, every time. But I first time them and make sure that it's got consistent timing, and it had. So on 35 weeks, the doctor said, okay, we're going to try and prolong it as long as we can. So I was on medication on trying to sustain and subside the contractions from happening. And on 37 weeks, on the 19th of June, we tried inducing labor, and the baby's heart rate went down and stopped. So twice. So we went in for emergency C-section, which I knew it could happen, but I wasn't prepared and willing for it to actually happen. But then we went, and it was good. It was actually it went well. There was no complications, and she was born. She was healthy, screaming, and she was actually having. The way that she came into the world, it was amazing. It was like, finally, I'm here.
Yes,
so the approach, the way that she came into the world actually made it so much more, giving you that motherly feeling where you know something good is happening now.
So now, where are the parents?
They were there. So,
even with the COVID protocols, because I know the hospitals are quite strict with delivering, so they were allowed in the room.
Yeah, one of the parents were allowed in the room. The other one wasn't allowed, unfortunately, because there was only space for one person in the theatre. So the father was there, and he did all the first skin to skin and everything. He took her and checked her out and everything. So he was there, and it all went smoothly. And when the other parents saw the baby, everything also went good. And it's heartwarming. It's overwhelming and self-satisfying to see you giving that gift to someone else, having that ability to start building their family. And I think not everybody understands that concept. It's not just about doing it and helping everybody. There is a self-satisfaction factor in this whole process.
You also get something out of it.
It's not a financial gain. It's not a physical gain. It's an emotional gain that you know for life. I helped someone grow their family, and get maybe to that ability.
Just for the viewers to understand, skin to skin is the bonding that happens after the baby's been born. And basically, the baby, in an ideal situation, baby would be put directly on mom's chest to have that skin-to-skin bonding, or with dad. So that's like, as in, clothes are not on. And in the mainstream media, actually what we saw is actress Gabrielle Union, who also had a child via surrogate, and she basically was next to her surrogate in, I think, like in a bed with her husband, and they both basically, as soon as the baby was born, put in for the skin to skin, so that we have context of that. You're saying that it gave you that satisfaction. Was there any part of you at all which, because I'm assuming they sort of exclude you from that baby's just born parental bonding process, but is there any part of you at all that wanted to see the baby, hold the baby?
No, I must say we were communicating all the time, even though we weren't with each other. Because they went to the maternity ward and I went to a general ward to recover from the C-section. So we were in connection, and I was also giving them breast milk as well. So I had to see them because I had to deliver the breast milk in the hospital as well, because the sisters didn't know where to go. And though they could find out, it was just easier that way. So we were in connection, and they sent me photos and videos as well, showing her and making sure she's fine. But I didn't have that need I want to see her. She needs to be with me now. And I didn't have that. I was comfortable knowing she was fine. She's healthy. She's with her parents.
Was the breast milk a special thing that you did for them, or is that a standard thing that?
No. It's a special thing. It's an option. It's not a must. It's not a requirement. It's something we discussed and we decided to do. And I'm still providing. So
you still pump for them?
Yes, I still do exclusive pumping for them, so that they can provide them with her with the best milk that she can get at this stage, because she does have a hernia that's giving her a bit of an issue. But other than that, she's a healthy, loving, happy baby, and they are looking quite good after. I must say, she's in a very good house, and I don't have that need I must know how it's going, and because we are communicating, and I know she's in good hands and stuff.
Yeah.
I must say my family was worried at a stage because I was very emotional because of the C-section.
Yes.
Because I lost control with the C-section. And I got very emotional for 48 hours every time the word C-section came out.
Yes.
And my family and even the parents were worried and asked me to see the psychologist just to make sure and rule out. Because every time they ask me, are you okay? Are you fine? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Just don't mention the other word.
Yes.
And every time they did mention C-section, I was bawling, like having the baby blues, if you can call it that.
Yes.
Luckily, the psychologist confirmed that it's not the baby that was the issue. It was getting out of control with the situation and not having control over the situation that actually ate me, because that's the type of person I am. I like to stay in control of what's happening with me.
So are you proud of that scar? It's not even from your own kids. It's a gift.
Yeah, no, I'm very proud of it. It's I'll do it again.
Wow.
I don't mind. It's one of those things. It's a gift that not everyone can give. And if I've been blessed with a gift to give, why not?
Look, I absolutely respect you for having the capacity to do that. I think there's still a part of me which wonders, because I can't relate to the feeling of wanting to do it for a stranger, is that I wonder what that rewarding, that fulfillment at the end feels like. How would you describe that feeling at the end?
I must say, if I can explain it, it's the same feeling you had that moment where you held your child and you saw her for the first time. That same image you get every time you think of it is what I saw every time and what I felt every time I saw them with her. And when they took her that first time, and knowing I had a part in their happiness with that same feeling that I had with my own children, they are having it with theirs. They're having that. And I felt similar, that same type of feeling when I saw that and when I knew this is a reality, it's done. And I think, in a way, us as mothers know that feeling. It's a feeling that is it's a self-worth and a self-comforting feeling that you won't get anywhere else.
Would you say you would do it again?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. We did speak of doing a sibling journey for them.
Oh, really?
So we're just waiting for confirmation and making sure everything is fine so that we can move forward. So
wow.
Otherwise than that, I know of a lot of people that's been asking for a surrogate, because surrogacy is not easy to come by in South Africa.
Yes.
And usually when you do come by, then they want to have compensation. They want to get some financial gain out of it, which a lot of them don't understand. It's illegal to do that.
Yes.
So,
wow. I think the journey you've described is absolutely beautiful. I think obviously I can relate to the parts about the pregnancy and everything, but the part where the baby comes out and then you're like, there you go. I'm like, no. I don't know how I would feel emotionally, but I think it's so beautiful that you were able to do something so self-sacrificing. And obviously I wish you well on the rest of your journey and still recovering, from delivering just literally a few months ago. And for what you've done for this family, and we wish the baby well as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey. Is there anything that you want South Africans or viewers to know that you think they would never think of about this journey?
I just think it's a very hush-hush situation and a subject in South Africa because of the fact that there's no compensation and because of the fact that you're not having that genetic connection with the baby. But if you are gifted with the gift of life and you can give it, why not? Because I mean, it's a lot of the people, I think, have a very wrong perspective around that. There's a lot of people around you that struggle with infertility. And sometimes you don't know how much it takes from them, how much it breaks them. They have a front that they have on and showing that they are okay with dealing with it. But when they're home, you don't know what's going on.
And the worst part is it doesn't help that society puts so much pressure on couples when they've been together for a while or just been married. Like, when are you having a baby? Not realizing what they may be facing.
Yeah, and the negativity that goes with it, and the snarky remarks that also comes with it. Yeah. Also, the same for surrogates. There's a lot of negativity towards surrogates because they're feeling that they're giving away a baby.
Yes.
They have to remember it's not my baby. It's genetically, DNA, it's not my baby. And we get prepared for it mentally and physically. Yes. So it's just that's the negativity. It's not necessary. Yeah. Rather be happy with them and be positive.
Yeah. Yolandi, thank you so much again for being on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
#Unpacked with Relebogile. I know these things really happen. And I think exactly as our guest has said and explained that the space is not spoken about because of the compensation. And it's a pity that we rely on just mainstream media, possibly even Hollywood and some, series that you may have seen to teach us about what these things mean. But maybe today you're going to take the time and go and read up a little bit about surrogacy. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night. Next time on Unpacked.
I was your average public kid.
Just living a full life.
We were shouting and screaming in the car, telling him to slow down.
And unfortunately, our car rolled.
Why am I so cold?
And I just knew immediately that I had been paralyzed.
Thank you so much for watching Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja. Make sure you subscribe to my channel where you can get to watch more episodes. But more importantly, you can be part of our online community. Comment down below, share with us who you'd like to see on the show, what story you'd like us to discuss. We love engaging with you. Keep it coming and don't forget to subscribe.